Hi, and welcome to Convergence. On January 28th this year, LinkedIn published something almost all marketeers scroll straight past. It was an admission from their director of digital marketing that their content strategy had stopped working. Non-brand awareness traffic to their B2B properties had collapsed by up to 60%. The rankings hadn't dropped, the clicks had just stopped coming. Now let's think about what that means. LinkedIn is the platform that drives nearly half of all social traffic to B2B websites, and they couldn't make their content marketing work anymore. And then they published exactly what happened and why. 2 weeks later, they released a 17-page guide on how to optimize content for AI chatbots. And that's the moment this episode is all about. A public declaration from one of the most authoritative B2B platforms on the internet that the old model is done. And LinkedIn isn't alone. Ahrefs published research in February this year using December 2025 data across 300,000 keywords. When Google AI Overview appears in the search results, the click-through rate for top ranking results drops by 58%. That's more than half the clicks gone, and it's nearly double the 34% they measured just 8 months earlier. So this acceleration is real, it's happening. HubSpot, the company that essentially invented B2B inbound content marketing, also saw traffic decline between 70 and 80%. The content format that built their empire, comprehensive keyword optimized guides, turns out to be precisely the format AI overviews summarize most effectively. And when an AI can distill your best work into 2 or 3 paragraphs, users don't need to visit your site anymore. Google's AI mode, now at 75 million daily users, sees 93% of searches end without a single click. And ChatGPT, which processes billions of prompts every day, sends approximately 190 times less referral traffic than Google, because it resolves the query inside the interface. The answer lives in there, so the user stays in there. And this pattern is consistent. AI answers the question, the user moves on. Your site, your website, never enters the picture. And the marketing industry has responded to this. The response isn't exactly wrong, but it's somewhat incomplete. The emerging playbook goes by a few names: Answer Engine Optimization, or AEO, and Generative Engine Optimization, GEO. And LinkedIn published a 17-page version of it themselves. And the guidance is really around consistency, structuring your AI content so AI systems can extract it cleanly. Things like leading with a direct answer in the first 50 words, using clear headings, schema markups, citing data, keeping content fresh, etc. Now, this is all great advice, but the entire playbook rests on an assumption that getting cited by an AI answer is equivalent to getting found by a buyer. That visibility inside an AI response is a pipeline event, and that's where things get really complicated. See, the real problem is the click was never really the goal. It was a signal. The entire B2B pipeline model, content marketing, inbound demand generation, was built as a chain of events. Someone searches, they find your content, they click, they arrive at your site, you know they exist, you can nurture them. And that chain worked because awareness and traceability moved together. Someone engaging with your thinking meant they'd entered your world and you could see them and you could follow up. Zero-click breaks the chain at the most critical point. Your content is getting cited in an AI answer. The prospect reads the summary. They absorb your perspective on their problem. They may even form a preference for your approach, your framing, your category positioning. But then they close the tab. They never visit your website. No sessions, no cookies, form fills, nothing. Now, you influenced them, you just didn't know it happened. And this is a visibility without traceability problem. And you can't fix it with schema markup or front-loading your answers. Those things only increase the likelihood of being cited. They do nothing about the fact that the citation in a zero-click environment leaves no trace in your pipeline. The AEO playbook optimizes for the moment your content appears inside an AI answer. Now that's valuable, but it doesn't tell you how to convert an invisible influence into a conversation. It doesn't tell you how to build your pipeline when top of the funnel is happening inside someone else's interface. At the moment, you can't see, creating intent you can't measure. Now, most B2B GTM teams are trying to recover the signal, optimize for AI citations, track LLM reference traffic, and measure share of AI voice. Sure, that's important to do that. But the most important question is, how do you build a pipeline strategy that doesn't depend on a signal arriving in the first place? Because the buying journey doesn't stop. Buyers are still researching, forming views, narrowing their options. They're just doing it somewhere you can't see, inside AI interfaces, in communities, through peer conversations. So marketing needs to reframe. The zero-click era doesn't mean content stops mattering. It means content's job has changed. It used to create traffic, now it creates positioning. It shapes fundamentally how AI systems understand what you stand for, and it shapes how buyers categorize you when they eventually surface, already informed and partially decided. The GTM implication is this: if influence is now invisible, then the channels that create traceable intent become disproportionately valuable. Things like community, direct outreach, events, partner networks, they're not new channels, but they're channels where the buyer chooses to make themselves known, where the conversation starts on their terms, not on yours. Cracking the AI citation code is a tactic, but it's not a pipeline strategy. Building pipeline in this environment means creating multiple paths for a buyer to surface, paths that work whether or not an AI click ever arrives. And brand and trust will naturally become really important connective tissue. If a prospect encountered your thinking inside ChatGPT, answered 3 weeks ago, and then sees your name in a LinkedIn thread today, that's recognition without attribution. Your job is to make that recognition strong enough so when they're ready to have a conversation, you're the next obvious step. LinkedIn called their shift moving from search, click, website to be seen, be mentioned, be considered, be chosen. That's accurate as far as it goes, but B2B GTM needs one more step: be findable, especially when the buyer is ready to move through channels you own, not through channels AI controls. So the click isn't probably coming back. The infrastructure of B2B discovery has permanently changed, and GTM strategy sitting on top needs to change with it. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Convergence. If you're interested in this subject, then please see our blog From Search to Synthesis. The link is below. Thank you very much.